How you guys doing, man? I hope you surviving. I hope you're thriving during this coronavirus times, and I hope you understand that what will happen going forward and after this is all about what you do right now. It's not about what the government does. It's not about what anybody else thinks about what you're going to do. The reason I'm saying that is because you know, um, I think it was something I was listening to Steve Harvey, and it was also a thought I was going through, or it's just stuff I've read and seen that. For instance, if you look at certain communities amongst Indians, for instance, amongst Africans in Africa and in Africans in America, not African Americans, but Africans in America and Africans, you look at these Ghanaians and these Nigerians, and you realize that a lot of these people are very educated. They have so many degrees and qualifications, but their countries, when you look at Nigeria, when you look at Ghana and some places, their countries are not Singapore. And there are people there saying that I've got two PhDs or I don't know what. I got masters, I got this, and I don't have a job. And I've seen the same problem in other parts of the world. You can see it in Namibia, you can see it in South Africa. I went to school and I'm a chemical engineer and I went to university and I can't get a job. And I'm always like, what is this mythical job people keep speaking about? And I know where it comes from. It comes from a place of somewhere along the line, somebody told us or made us believe or convinced us that when you go to university and you get a thing called a degree, you're automatically qualified to get jobs and have high income. And that isn't true. And also, I think there's a whole misunderstanding about the degree thing because the whole degree thing's entire creation was born out of a certain industrial model, which was that a lot of jobs were becoming managerial in the economy, like the US economy and etc. It was becoming managerial in terms of you were managing large businesses, huge concerns, factories, logistic operations on a global scale, and they needed managers. So you had these guys coming out with all these skills, I mean, scientific management and all these kind of things. And you needed to go to university to learn this volume of knowledge. So there was an overemphasis on these, what you call white collar jobs. And in doing so, it created this philosophy and this belief that working in offices was better and having a degree was the end all. When in fact, at that point in time, yes, there was a demand for those kind of skills, and there was definitely almost an endless uptake of people with degrees. They basically was swallowed up. So universities capitalized on that fact, and they started marketing this, and because it was almost true at that point in time in the 60s and 50s and 70s that if you got a degree you would get a job, it was programmed and conditioned into people that this is how the world works, when in fact it isn't how the world works. It's part of how the world. Having a degree does not necessarily put you in a position where you're automatically going to get a job. It doesn't. It puts you in a position where you can get a job because you have skills, but it's not the only path you can take. Listen, guys, you can go to vocational education. Valuable to go for vocational education because it teaches you the skills to maintain the world as it is. New York City, as large as it is, how many sewer pipes, sinks, bathtubs, windows, cars, electric infrastructure, rats need to be exterminated. It's so much that needs to be done by people with their hands to maintain a city that size that I bet you that owning a company that maintains the facilities that allow New York City to keep functioning is $1 billion business. It's $1 billion business. Same thing for any huge city. Think about Chinese cities. Think about Russian cities, British cities. All of America's 50 states have cities that need plumbing, that need water, that need. There's a lot of demand in those spaces, right? Where you work with your hands, because everybody wants to work behind a desk and wear suits and work in these behind in an office. It's like it's not a job unless you have an office where you work on a computer and dress in a suit and a tie, which is not true. Work takes many forms, And jobs don't only occur in specific areas, they occur in all areas. So when people are going to study, they should ask themselves, what am I studying to do? Is it because I've been told I'm supposed to get into an office? And so when the fact is, especially places like South Africa, Namibia, and others, which have low manufacturing output and don't have that many huge concerns, there is no uptake for additional supply of another psychology major, another humanities and social sciences major, another accountant. There's enough of those. What is required is people who can make things, maintain things, and produce things. People who can actually use their hands to fix, to build, to make, to manufacture products and services. You understand? And that's what's required out in the world market. You can't just all be accountants, all be human resource managers, operations managers. Where are the operations that you're going to manage? And that's what's going on with these guys in places like Nigeria and whatnot. There is an oversupply of educated people because that's what they thought was the magic route to success. Get a degree or a master's and you automatically have a job. And so they start complaining that I've got a job, I've got a master's, and I've got a degree, and I don't have a job, and yet that guy has got no qualifications and he's got a job. Whoa, wall up. Let's just slow down right there. You didn't ask yourself, you got a degree in what? For what demand? Where did you see the demand for the education you got? 2, who told you that it was automatically going to get you a job? Jobs are given to those people that the employer believes is most valuable and useful for their system of production. And that could be your degree holding self, or your master's holding self, your PhD holding self, or it can be the individual who's got the experience, got the attitude, got the energy, because that's another thing people don't look at. We're all looking at, we got pieces of paper. Have you ever asked yourself, do you have the right attitude for a job? No, seriously. I mean, I learned this by owning a business, right? And I realized that the only reason my business failed at that point in time was because I had the wrong employees. The attitude, the business model wasn't the problem. The problem was the individuals and their attitudes and beliefs and philosophies of life that they had. They practically destroyed the business because of the way they thought, entitlement, and just a lack of disregard for equipment in the business. Now, that is an attitude. That is a belief. Forget about the qualifications. The qualifications they had, but that's what ruined the business. It wasn't the qualifications. So sometimes people are like, "Oh man, I got PhDs, I got a master's." What about your attitude? What about the attitude you bring to the business? What about the energy? You know, people that be like, man, I'm overqualified. I'm like, yo, listen, who told you to go tell somebody that you got 3 PhDs anyway? Tell them you got a degree and don't say anything else about the PhDs. Let them find out about that after you got 2 years of working with those people. And on top of that, who says you are the right energy fit? You come to the work with the right amount of power. That's why people tend to say in certain jobs we're looking for younger people, because the people that they're selling to are a certain age group, or they know that people of a certain age group tend to be a bit slower, they got less energy, typically, of course. But if you're working out, you're on your purpose, you're eating right, you get the vitamins, you get sunshine, you should have the energy to manage any job. So that is all the stuff that goes around these issues, right? Look, degrees are simply one way of getting there, and they don't guarantee you will get there. You will still have to put in the best attitude, put in the best portfolio of what you've done or can do, show the best energy, and represent yourself in the best possible way. But you also can get there by vocational education, by being a mechanic, an auto technician, a plumber, and those jobs deserve the respect that they should be getting. They really deserve to be respected. I mean, I could say I'm a typical white collar person. I do work in an office, I do, and I would have definitely thought lesser of those jobs had it not been that we had a client in the agency where we had to deal with vocational education as a focus of what we're trying to promote and as an area of discussion for sharing information. And on top of that, I own a business that required that kind of vocational educational skills. And I also, so over time, I've come to discover That it really is tragic that we look at those jobs in that way. Mothers don't want their daughters to marry plumbers and so on. But let me ask you a question. The same mother, every day she likes to take that wonderful bath she soaks in, go to a nice toilet that she can do her business in. If any of those things were not to function, her life would be hell. But would her life be hell if the accountant she didn't have an accountant? No. But if a plumber disappears and the plumbing messes up, she definitely will have a bad life. If the electricity ain't working, definitely bad life. So I would like to say to those people, if you are doing vocational education, you are in the right space, man. Go for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and use your hands. Look, we may have AI and all that stuff or whatever it is, but it ain't going to change nobody's tire on the side of the road. It ain't going to go and fix the electricity pylon. In fact, when that AI smart genius of a computer breaks down, it ain't gonna fix itself. Somebody gonna have to open it up and solder it, and it's gonna be the guy with science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and vocational education. Okay, so you should value those skills because they are valuable. Because so many people have run after degrees to work in offices that they've left a massive need for people who know how to use their hands. Now, let's get away from education. Back to the Steve Harvey example I was talking about. He said he values education, but he's not a man who went to university and go to college, but he still succeeded. And that's what I want to talk about as well. Listen, guys, success is about action and taking advantage of opportunities. It's not about your qualifications. It's about what you do and the decisions you take to get where you're going. You understand? That is how it works. You have to realize jobs are not given sometimes, they are made. They are made by the individual who has the job. Steve Jobs, okay, oxymoron, I guess, paradoxically. He's made his own job. Bill Gates made his own job. Mark Zuckerberg made his own job. Understand? These guys made their own jobs by creating a purpose for themselves, by seeing a need in the marketplace and taking advantage of it. Why don't most of us do this? Right? Most of us don't do this because of fear. I would say that was my biggest thing. Fear of loss, risks. I'm going to lose money. This is not going to work out. People are not encouraging, and sometimes it can be your own partner. I mean, I've had partners where I didn't feel they were very encouraging about anytime you're like, I'm going to do this or this went wrong. They'll kind of be like, yeah, I told you you didn't know what you're doing. Or, of course, So a lot of people don't go into business because unless you're one of those, you're an Indian in Croydon, that's in the UK. Definitely, you'll be like, get a degree or start a business, one of the two. But if you're not, but for most people, it's going to be like, listen, they will tell you to do stuff that's low risk, be a doctor or an accountant and get a degree. But they don't tell you that that's not the magic route, and there's a lot more to it than that. So the reality is that, look, guys, sometimes you're going to have to bite the bullet and create your own job. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be challenging because things don't always go the way you think they do. Oh, I'm just going to put this ad up on Instagram or on Facebook or in the newspaper and things are going to happen. It doesn't. I've tried that. I've done that. Instagram ad, a Facebook ad, and nothing happens. And you start saying, oh my God, what's going on? Why isn't this just working the way I thought it works? That's the reality. It doesn't always work the way you think it does. It's different. You got to go out and figure out what the system really does, how it really functions. So if you're looking for work, maybe you need to make your own job. Maybe you need to stop around talking about how you got a master's in this and got to. If you can have the dedication and the energy and the resources to go after a master's, perhaps if you put that energy and dedication to building a business and the same amount of time into going through the process, if you took you 5 to 6 to 7 years to get that qualification, what happens if you and you still don't have returns on it? What if you took that same knowledge and put your mind to building a business? Where would you be in 5 to 7 years, especially if you look for a real opportunity that really does exist in the market space? You could be a millionaire. You could be super successful. In 20 years, you could be as rich as Bill Gates. Who knows what your idea is? But you need to realize that sometimes when there's no jobs, it's time for somebody to create them. And that person isn't the person next to you, it's you, the person in the mirror. It's you who is going to create that job. You need to get up and say, yo, listen, I need to do something about my situation. I'm unemployed. What can I do with what I've got right now? in terms of my skill set, in terms of my experience, in terms of what I know. What can I do right now with the little resources that I have? I mean, I look around my house and I'm like, you know what? If I didn't have a job, I wasn't working in an agency or whatever, I bet you around this house alone, I've got more than enough resources at a business within it one day. All I need to do is think about what business it's going to be, whether it's going to be a car wash out of my double garage or whatever. It really is that simple sometimes. The biggest thing I found is fear. It's fear that has kept me from starting a lot of my business ideas. It's fear that has kept me from believing in myself when people are saying, the minute that your girlfriend or your partner says, oh, I don't know about that, it almost like she's echoing, that must be true. Because at that point, you're asking these other people so that they can either help you feel that what you're doing it can work and is possible, or if it isn't, and they tell you the negative and you go, oh my God, it's not going to work, and immediately you don't do it, or you don't do it as aggressively or with as much faith as you would have done it. And this is what Steve Harvey was talking about, this teacher who told him as a child that he would never be on TV. He didn't know how to speak, basically said all the reasons why he couldn't be on TV, and yet he still was one of the most successful from that school on TV and globally. We all know him. So at the end of the day, you can't trust other people to tell you about the success of your idea or what you're going to achieve, because it is purely down to your self-belief and your self-action that those things manifest. So if you decide I'm going to have $100 million, look, people around you don't have a mind that big to even comprehend that that's possible. They've never seen that around anybody around their neighborhood. You say I'm going to have a private jet, and people say, oh man, you're just a dreamer, blah, blah. Listen, you're surrounded by people who've never had that stuff in their life. Why do you expect them to believe? You believe it because there's something about you that tells you it's possible, and you need to go out and make it happen. And one of the ways to make it happen is by creating your own job versus waiting for a job. Don't wait. You've got the skills. You've got the energy. Life is short. Get out there and do something. Figure out a path. But the number one reason, remember I talked about fear, right? I've thought about this and I realized the biggest thing that stops a lot of us from starting our own businesses is the fact that the fear of being responsible for your own success and, more importantly, failure. I feared that if I go out there on my own, I am responsible for me. Somehow you feel better when you're working for somebody else. It makes you feel like there's something or someone there to save you or protect you from failure, or to when you have a salary, you hold on to it because of that fear of, if I let this go, will I get something else? We're so afraid of the negative, of the possibility of not having an income, of not making money, of being ostracized by people around us, whether it's our girlfriends, our friends, people we know, saying, look at that loser. He used to have a nice job, or he thinks he's going to start a business and own an airline. You have those people, and it's very difficult to deal with your peers, your partner, and talking negative about your dream or not believing in you. It's difficult to work through that. That's why entrepreneurship is so difficult, because entrepreneurs really are people that ignore the negativity of others, the naysay of people around them. Jay-Z did that. Remember, I think he said his own uncle was like talking about how, man, these raps basically weren't going to go anywhere. What the hell is all this, man? And he kind of brought it up just to show his uncle or whoever it was that, look, you see, I made it. This made me a billionaire. And you know why? Because I believed in me. So you've got to understand that being an entrepreneur requires you to believe in yourself on an incredible level, even when people say the opposite. People did say Apple wasn't going to work. People did say Facebook wasn't going to work. But Zuckerberg had to believe beyond. He had to believe in his intellect and the research that he had done beyond other people's objections and doubts about. He had to have faith. It's like, when Moses was leading the Israelites through the desert or whatnot, there were doubters there. And they were saying, man, we don't see no evidence that we're going to get what you say we're going to get. We've seen some miracles, but yeah, where we going? So there's always those people in a situation. And you've got to understand that if you want to succeed, You've got to stop focusing so much on getting a job, and you've got to start focusing on maybe creating your own job. And you got to realize it's not an easy path. It requires strong mental solitude and belief that things will work out, because I will make them work out. So if you're out there thinking to yourself, man, yo, man, where the jobs at? Why I don't have a job? Oh my God, the Indian market is so bad, Chinese market. And also, one other reason I wanted to talk about this is because of this Corona times. That a lot of people are forgetting that after Corona, after this has died down, after the tragedy of what this is doing to people's lives and families, look, 2 years from now, I can guarantee you people are going to be eating, driving, going on a holiday, buying clothes, watching TV, listening to silly videos on YouTube. They're going to be doing all these things that they be doing now. The world is going to go back to what it is. How do I know that? Let's look at history. Spanish influenza, Ebola. What has happened 10, 20, 30, 100 years after some of these events like the Spanish influenza? Guess what? Life has gone back to normal. More people are now on earth than ever before. The cities are much bigger, and a lot more is now going on. Transactions are much faster. The economy and the world always goes forward unless we get hit by a huge meteorite and join the dinosaurs. We are going to wake up in 2 years or in a year. Those who make it through, those who survived the Spanish influenza, the bubonic plague, they continued living and made the best of their lives. So you've got to understand that life is going to continue. You need a plan. And especially since this channel mostly is for guys. Listen, guys, you are the leader of your future family. You are the leader of your present family. And you need to know that you have to be planning as to what's going to happen. How am I going to lead this family going forward? Those are your troops. How are you going to lead them into battle? What's your plan for dealing with the post-corona situation? What's your plan for dealing with the employment situation? It ain't about what the statistics being thrown at you by any news media are about. It's about what you decide to do. You're not a statistic. You're a person full of potential with amazing intellect and can take action. So it's up to you. What are you going to do to lead your family? What are you going to do to lead your community? How are you going to take different decisions versus the past? What are you going to do different that allows you to be able to have a future that you can be certain you will have a job? And the only thing you can be certain of is your own action. The only thing you'll be certain of is your own skills, your own intellect. Maybe right now you need to learn some new skills, watch some YouTube videos, read some books, start practicing something that you need to get better at, so that when this is all over and the economy starts to pick up, you are ready to ride that wave. And that's how it is. Maybe you need to develop new products. Like I can guarantee you, that's what I'm doing. I'm developing new products. I'm trying to get every idea that I've had in my head. I'm trying to stop procrastinating, because I'm like, you know what? How is it possible you can have this many ideas and you're not a millionaire? How is it possible you can have something of value that other people may benefit from and hoard it? Keep it to yourself with such intense greed. Everything you've learned from your businesses, your mistakes, your pain, your suffering, from your education, that somebody else can benefit from, that you keep to yourself, is an incredible act of selfishness and greed. Share it, give it to other people, help other people have better lives. At least do that. So we all can have a better future by simply choosing to take the right actions now going forward. We can all have jobs if we stop focusing on the act of being given a job and on the act of creating a job. Listen, guys, back in the hunting days, you hear that a lot on my channel. Back in the hunting days, you know what? Men used to go and create their opportunity. The opportunity was the thing that they created when they went hunting. That antelope they caught was the opportunity they created, right? It's the same thing right now. When did we get into this idea that the universe would come and give the antelope to us? The universe already provided the antelopes. It already provided the landscape. It gave you the intellect to project or predict where this antelope was going to go, the arms and legs and social coordination as a team with other individuals to be able to catch it. So that's what it is. You need to understand that's what you've got right now, a superpower. You are a hunter. Go and hunt down your future. Go and hunt down that job by either getting one or by creating one. That is it. I think Hannibal said, "We'll either find a way or make a way," when he's trying to, conquer Rome. And you've got to understand that's what it is. Sometimes you've got to make the way. The way is not already made, so it's your job, and that's what you do. And the great thing is that is exactly what you were built for. As a man, that's exactly what all your intellect and capabilities are designed to do, to make a way. So I believe you are going to make a way. I believe you're going to succeed. I believe you're going to do fantastic things now and into the future. Until next time, do more, be more, become more in your purpose.